In today's Mystery of Black History, we highlight C.T. Vivian. Throughout most of my studies of Black history, there have been few people who, I dare say, fought for freedom with a level of excitement and joy higher than Cordy Tyndale Vivian. If Martin Luther King Jr. is the poster child of nonviolence, then C.T. Vivian is the typography. In fact, Martin Luther King called C.T. Vivian the greatest preacher to ever live. In the 2021 book, It's in the Action, Memories of a Nonviolent Warrior, author Steve Fiffer pulls together transcripts from past interviews, historical artifacts, newspaper articles, and segments from the documentary Eyes on the Prize to present the life, times, and legacy of one of the most devoted leaders of the civil rights movement. C.T. Vivian was born July 30th, 1924 in Howard County, Missouri. The Great Depression took a toll on his family, and he ended up living with his mother and maternal grandmother. Education was the primary focus, with his mother and grandmother emphasized, as his grandmother specifically had him reading and doing mathematics at a third grade level before he even set foot in school. Education was highly important in the home, but it took a backseat to religion, respectfully. C.T. states that as far as he could remember, he always loved church. It kept him connected to the community, and he felt free to express himself in the church in a way he couldn't express out in the segregated society of America. After a house fire engulfed his home, C.T., his mom, and grandmother moved to Macomb, Illinois. This change of scenery added some stumbling blocks to C.T.'s path. As he would state, I had gone from being a religious and God-fearing 5-year-old to being an 8-year-old who rolled his own cigarettes. C.T. not only smoked, but he had smoke for anyone who dared to challenge him. He would get into constant fights throughout middle school and teetered on the brink of being somewhat of a bully. However, his life's mission was relatively solidified during an altercation in which a student who he wanted to fight showed no interest in fighting him. Despite C.T.'s agitation, the student's reluctance challenged the conscience of C.T. This was when the seed of nonviolence was planted. Graduating high school in 1942, he would go on to attend Western Illinois University. However, there was a pit stop. C.T. moved to Peoria, Illinois, and began work at the Carver Community Center. It was here where his purpose would continue to blossom and his ideology of nonviolence would deepen. He began working with the Christian organizations who were looking to be more proactive in the fight for desegregation. This collective of groups modeled their approaches after the Congress of Racial Equality, or CORE, and it was within the approach that C.T. saw how nonviolence could be used as a tactic, and this made him all the more enthusiastic. This made C.T. one of the most dangerous men to the structure of racism and white supremacy. From Western Illinois University to the American Baptist Theological Seminary, C.T.'s natural instigative demeanor, coupled with his unwavering faith in God and love for justice, he presented the highest threat to a racist white. Nashville, Tennessee would be the genesis of C.T. Vivian's activism at scale. Activists like Diane Nash, John Lewis, and Jim Bevel were already down south putting in work, and C.T. needed to be where the action was. And in 1958, the Nashville Christian Leadership Conference, the first regional chapter of the SCLC, was born. If we are to see the real downfall of segregation and discrimination, it will be because of a disciplined Negro Christian movement which breaks the antiquated methods of resolving our fears and tensions and dramatically applies the gospel we profess. This was a statement of purpose and principles of the group, and C.T. embodied it to a T. He goes on to state, what Jim and Martin and the nonviolent movement they inspired did for Black people is that for the first time we could say no. If we didn't like something, we could go demonstrate. It made life miserable for both Blacks and whites, but there was one big difference. We were happy to be miserable. For those today who consider nonviolence as pacifism, let me just say that while the common Black person today is afraid to get pulled over by the police, C.T. was excited to march directly towards them during the times when police officers moonlighted as Klansmen. C.T. literally held nonviolence training programs, teaching participants to withstand the physical assaults one would inevitably endure when on freedom rides or sitting at a segregated lunch counter. And though his work was based out of Nashville, again where the action was, C.T. was there, face to face with Bull Connor and Jim Clark, two of the most racist characters donning police uniforms in the segregated South. He also spent time in Mississippi's most notorious, infamous prison, Parchman Prison. He organized marches by the thousands and sat in strategic meetings with many of the more notable names of today. His life work was so profound that it was only fitting that Barack Obama awarded him the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2013, with Obama stating, I admired him from afar before I became a senator and got to know him as a source of wisdom, advice, and strength on my first presidential campaign. His friendship, encouraging words, and ever-present smile was a great source of inspiration and comfort, and personally, I will miss him greatly. C.T. passed away July 17, 2020, at the age of 95. It's in the Action, Memories of a Nonviolent Warrior shows us the power within peace and the power within love, as C.T. displayed both to the highest degree. Like if you enjoyed this segment, share if it could benefit others, subscribe for more book-related content. Till then, stay in the book or stay out the way.